Hey, Coach, super excited you found us on YouTube. Make sure that you watch and leave some comments below if you have any questions on anything in the video. That's the first thing. Second thing is make sure you subscribe. If you want updates, you're obviously here because you're a basketball coach, so subscribe down below. We would really appreciate that. And the third thing is if you're looking for resources, you're looking to become a better basketball coach, click up above or down below, teachhoops.com. It is a vast resource to help you become a better basketball coach. I'm here to help. I just got done answering about 25 emails, so go check it out. I think it will be a great resource for you, 14-day free trial. And let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.
All right, welcome to Coach Unplugged. So pronounce your name for me, Coach. I did it in my head a couple times. I want to make sure I got it right.
It is Jarrett Hunziker. So instead of Jared, just a T instead of a D, then Hunziker.
I love that. I mean, I've taught for 30 years. I don't know if I've seen that spelling. That's very unique.
Very rare. Very rare.
Yeah. So I was kidding. I was talking to somebody else new in a podcast, and he had a very common name, just like mine. And it's like whenever you do a mortgage or anything, you got to verify that you're not like the 83 Steve Collinses that have been crooks and stolen. You probably don't have a lot of those in the country. We have to verify. Right. So, Coach, I want you what I want you to do first is just kind of introduce yourself, kind of tell us about your basketball journey, kind of maybe teaching too a little bit, but maybe where we got to the point where your coaching career kind of took off and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Again, I graduated in high school in Northeast Missouri, Clark County, in 1996, and then kind of up there around Clark County, I coached a little bit at Clark County and Scotland County for a number of years up until about 2012. But really, my career kind of took off when I moved down to mid-Missouri, down to Boonville, which is just west of Columbia, about 20 miles on I-7.
Okay.
A great location, right between, like I said, right between St. Louis and Kansas City. A great location. Okay. And I coached the varsity girls there. This just finished up my 7th year. Have won a handful of conference titles, I believe around 4 district titles, and had the privilege to make it to the quarterfinals a couple of times and actually make it to the Final Four, which was the first time for Boonville since I believe '78.
Ooh.
And we were 30-1. We lost the semifinal game to a team out of St. Louis, Cardinal Ritter, and then we ended up winning the third place game. So we ended up 30-1 on the season.
So they play third place. Wisconsin doesn't do third place anymore.
And I think Iowa's the same way. I believe. I think they play the. If you lose a semifinal game, you're pretty much done.
Yeah, so, I like that third. I mean, it would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, you're so close though. It's so hard.
and we were undefeated up until that time, and actually had in the first half had a 16-point lead. They went on a 5-0. They went on a 5-0 run right before half, so momentum kind of shifted. But the question, Coach, is: would you rather have the next game, like the next day, we turn around, quick turnaround, and end up winning? So we end up finishing the season on a win, or would you rather play for the state championship and lose the last game? I've had coaches kind of debate that a little bit.
That is an interesting. First of all, we have five divisions, so there's only 5 happy coaches and boys and 5 and girls. Because I say if you only worry about whether your last game's a win, you're going to be unhappy an awful lot in your career.
Sure.
That's interesting. I personally think that, so I've won 3 and lost 4 in the finals, so been finals 7 times. Losing in the finals you're so close.
But at least you get to say you played for a state championship.
Yeah, I know. The first time, so I'm going to tell you my first, the team I've coached for 30 years. The team I wish I could go back to is my undefeated team, and we lost in the state finals. I had 3 Mr. Basketballs. One of them was Wesley Matthews, who's now Huck. And that team, we were so close. Wesley broke his hand in the semis. That's the one, and I wasn't experienced enough, so that I always blame myself on that first one. I guess I'd probably take the silvers get better as you get older.
Sure.
So I'd probably take getting to the finals and losing. But I don't know. That would
something you've never really had to think about because, like I said, you guys don't have a third place game. So.
Yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, and I've tried to get our state to add more games. I've tried to get them 2 venues. I said, and you know, it's just the more experiences you can give kids, probably the better. So I would probably say yes on that.
Well, I'll tell you, in ours we lost on a Thursday, I believe. So we turned around and played our third place game on a Friday. So it didn't give us a whole lot of time and we couldn't dwell on it. I mean, we had to turn around the next day and little time to prepare and go. Right. And everybody into the season on a happy note, like a positive.
Right. Yeah. And then do they play that next game right after yours then?
They did later on. Well, no, they didn't. They played it the next day because it's almost like the losing side of the bracket was played on a Friday. Saturday was championship day.
Do you get to, in Missouri, do you get to get on the floor before the tournament starts?
You can walk on it. You cannot practice on it. So we had the chance to go at Mizzou Arena, which is fairly new. Yep. We played on a practice court, but we could go on it, but we could not practice on it. But the semifinal game was actually played at the old Hearns Arena, which is just right across the street.
Right.
And there they use it for volleyball. So it's actually set up as a volleyball court. So they the lines and stuff kind of mess with you. So we went over there the day before and at least let the girls walk on it.
Right.
Just so they kind of identified the thicker lines.
We used to be in Wisconsin, used to be able to practice for like a half hour the Wednesday before the tournament started. Yep. And it was reverse order of how far you were from the Kohl Center. So you would be obviously the closest, Madison closest. So we would practice and we go have breakfast and I'd send the kids back to school. But some of my fondest memories and some of everybody's happy because they made it to the state tournament. Mm-hmm. Every kid gets to get on the floor, you know, gets to shoot on the floor. It gets, you know, that time. I wish we'd bring that back. I wish every state did that. I have pictures of my son who's going to be a senior of him with a little guy. You know, it was like, those were some of the fondest memories I have of the whole thing, more than even winning it. Mm-hmm. So any state that can do that, and again, it's trying to get on that because the big boys need it for their money.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so let's talk about your coaching philosophy first. I always like starting with that. So could you summarize for the coaches listening, what's your philosophy? Do you have a philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the last couple of years, I've done a good job of coming up with like pillars, like just standing. Okay. And I've come up with 3, and that is we like to take and like push the ball quickly in transition. We'll get the ball out quick, push up the sideline, try to get something, you know, a good shot. We're not one of those, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you for a second because we're doing that with this year's group a little bit with mine. So I'm going to pick your brain for a second before we go on. So is there something you do in practice that allows you to get – I'm telling them once my point guard gets it, it's one dribble, and then it better be out of your hand and up.
Yeah, we do a lot more we do those cycle drills, you know, where we'll put so much time. There's really 2 drills we do. We're just more like 5-on-0. And that is we'll do the typical cycle drill. They have 30, 35 seconds to take and each of them get a shot.
Yep.
And then we'll do one we call MEB transition. Midwest Elite Basketball holds these camps at times, and I learned it from them, where we'll do the same thing, but you get points. And like, let's say we have 3 groups. When one of them goes through the 5 cycles, the next one starts in right behind them. And we'll put about 10 minutes on the clock trying to rack up as many points as we can.
Oh, so does a 3 count as a 3 and a 1 count?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
a 2,
yeah. So a guard could take it if they want to go in for a layup, they can. If they want to, you know, shoot a 3.
Ooh, if we like that. I've never – oh, my God, new dog.
Yeah,
so, dog learns a trick.
Like on the 5th trip, when they're going down, we go ahead, and when they get to about half court, we're starting the next group behind them. So once they shoot. So
you don't have you have one group go stop, then they run around. Then as soon as that.
Well, the next with 5 trips, they'll stop on one end. So the next group will go 5 trips, and they'll so one group goes right after the other one.
So you don't have them go one group, next group. They do their 5 groups or 5 sets again.
No, we'll go 3 groups, one after the other one.
Okay.
And then the first group.
But you do it for 10 minutes?
We'll go 10 minutes. So once that third group goes, the first group go ahead. Once the third group shoots that last shot, the first group's going the other way. And so it's a continuous
I like
trip.
That.
Trips.
You can do that for 10 minutes?
10 minutes. 8 to 10, depending on what I allow for the, for that time and stuff. But it's a good, especially with 3 groups, because you're talking 30, 35 seconds. So once you get out, you have about a minute or so rest until you go again. So you're only probably getting about 7 or 8 trips through, I guess.
So, okay, so then I'm misinterpreting it. So let's say here you have group 1, group 2, group 3. Group 1 goes down and scores, correct?
Group 1 will go down, back, down, back,
Okay,
down.
that's what I was. I thought group 1 would go and then group 2.
No.
Group 3 would go, and then they come back. Okay, they do their cycle. Okay.
Yeah, they do the whole cycle, all 3 groups, and then group 1 will start in, and there's no break. I mean, it's just right when that 3rd group shoots that last layup or shot on the cycle, one's bringing the ball back the other way, and everybody's
so they get their rest. They're getting their rest there. Okay, that makes sense then. Okay, because I was going, holy cow, if they go for 10 minutes, I want a history program. It'd be like boom, 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 boom. It'd be crazy.
No. So we do that.
Yep.
So the transition, where we're, like I said, our 3 pillars, we talk about transition quickly, trying to get something easy in transition. Disruptive defense. I mean, that's why we do our, what we're our identity is our 1-2-2 ball press, and that's why I'm going down to Georgia.
Yep.
I've done the podcast with Kevin.
Yep.
So we try to disrupt as much as we can, because we do something different than most people do. Is we press makes and misses. So we're constantly putting some type of pressure.
Okay. Another side note. Oh my God, this is like perfect. So how do you okay, so let's, before we go into the third pillar, so how do you teach the make miss? Because I've tried it and I've been semi-successful, and I've even done left and right sides where the first initial entry pass goes, do different things. So how do you teach it so that it's a program thing and they just know it? Or
it is, and like I say, it's pretty much a 1-2-2 aggressive trapping zone. So and it starts, our base is usually it's 3/4 court. So on a miss, and we label ours, like the top of the press is our 1, then we have our 2s, and then our backs, our posts usually are our 3s. So the 1's job on a miss, if we don't get it, our 1's job is to slow it down. The others are running back to the middle of the floor, because again, with any type of press, zone press, you want the ball to go on the outside, not through the middle.
Right.
So they're getting back. The 2s go as far back as they need to until the 3s get by them, and then they come up. So most times we'll start our press 3/4 court, and then there's times where we might not get into it. If a team throws a quick out or something, it might be more like a half court. Right when they come across, we might get into it. But we do a lot of it through, we scrimmage quite a bit. And then just certain drills we'll do where we basically, and again, with girls basketball, probably a little bit different than boys, with the men and the boys, where you can get into it a little bit quicker.
Okay.
Girls can't, that's what's great about it. Girls can't throw the passes that a lot of the guys can throw.
They can't throw those. No. They can't throw those long ones. Yeah.
No.
The game. That's where the game is a little bit different.
Exactly.
I personally like the girls' game. I think it's a little bit more pure, and
Well, people, I'll bring it up a lot of times about where people want to watch. I like NBA's fine. The college with the men's fine.
You know what NBA is? NBA is good for looking for isolations, how people read screens, how they are so footwork minuscule. It is perfect for that. And I like watching college just for especially come March, just for sheer enjoyment.
But sometimes the best, like WNBA is very fundamental. Very, some of the things that you guys run to high school, you kind of get more from watching them than you can.
Right. They do more of the stuff that we do. They do. Yeah, I agree. You don't see a lot of pressure at the collegiate level. They're too good. Too good. Yeah. All right. Then what's the third pillar?
Third thing, offensively, we try to take, and we're constantly trying to attack. Now we run I don't want to say it's an old Bobby Knight type screening and cutting motion, but it's we've kind of incorporated the dribble drive off of ball movement, getting that ball moving, passing and cutting. I know you run a lot of read and react and stuff just by listening to some of the podcasts and stuff over the last year, where we try doing that, but I always kind of go back to running some type of screen action, down screen, and I give them a couple. You can do a couple things off the down screen, so we don't have to practice it as much. I guess it's just kind of work on it as we go, and then that ball movement stuff will kind of set up the dribble drive and everything. So it's more that we just want to attack.
If your girls can, part of the reason we haven't run dribble drive is our guys can't dribble very well.
Sure.
Now we have guys that can this year, so we're doing some
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, what I tell the young coaches, you got to pivot a little bit. You got to change with the times. You know, I would old school
Sure.
used to run flex. Hell,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, so
See,
things change. But you know, I wouldn't say we're 100% read and react. We'll run some Virginia stuff. It's not mover blocker, but some high low because I got some bigs. I got some big boys coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to adjust to that as far as offensively.
And I'm not much of a set guy. I mean, I might have a couple just quick hitters, you know, like maybe a stagger double away or something in transition. Right. We will put in a flex, but it's more of the no down screen. You know, right when you set that flex screen, you sprint up. Like when I make that guard to guard pass, I will flare off to the backside wing, and then when you set the flex screen, you sprint up to the elbow. You know, and it kind of opens it up a little bit. And the only reason we run that is more of just structure.
I guess. Or, you can use that as a delay a little bit.
Know, you have that 6 or 8 point lead with a couple minutes left, layups only type thing. So
right, and you can just grind that if you need to, if you're good at it. How do you? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm thinking with something like that, you know how it is. You especially with girls basketball, sometimes you run it long enough, somebody's going to have to guard that back screen, and somebody's going to do a poor job of helping, and then you're going to get a layup every so often.
So here's what I would do. I've never seen your team. I'll take one of your rival teams that's equal to you. If you're setting all those ball screens, I double you because I'm not sure girls can roll and pass out of that double screen.
We'll set more like down screen stuff. We don't really do
set ball screens. Okay.
Not a lot of ball screens. Yeah. And I've heard you talk about that. And you're right though. I've heard you talk on previous podcasts about the ball screen, and coaches don't. I know for a fact coaches don't take and work on that stuff as much as they probably wish they could, or they should.
Have the time, and we don't have the time, to be honest. Yeah. It's like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we used one of our contact days, and we were talking about screening with the guys, and it's like, read the screen. You mean you got to slow down and read where your guy. If he's following you, then curl. If he's cheating, you got to. They just want to go. It's like this.
Yeah. And our girls have a tendency to do that. And usually like early, like even like this summer, I'll say, hey, you can either reject it, or like back cut it, curl it, or straight cut. You can, you know, do one of those.
Right.
You know, and then eventually over time, because you know how sometimes with motion and stuff, it just takes time. It gets better with time and stuff.
It does.
And then eventually we'll get you learning, you know, how to read when you come off the screen.
Last night when I was doing it with them, is basically I was telling them to rub. I said, you can't follow your own guy. Like, if you're curling, you should almost hit your friend's shoulders. Like, that's how close you should be. Because then what's the guy doing? If he's trailing you, you're going to get a layup.
Yes.
You know, you get the aha moments from him. How do you practice plan?
You mean like time put into a practice plan, or like
that's about as open-ended as a question as I can ask you.
And I'm one who probably spends a little bit more time working on a practice plan than others. It just seems like I'm constantly up until the time we have practice going over it. But when it comes to the plan in general, usually everything we do kind of goes back to those 3 pillars. You look at your drills and you want to make sure they take and, you know, if we're doing something, it's meaningful. You know, we're not doing something just to do something. It's going to basically be something that's going to help our 1-2-2 ball press, some type of transition drill, some type of, you know, the last few years we've tried to do a lot more short-sided games, you know, compared to just like typical shooting and stuff. But just to kind of get that competitiveness and everything with them. But so we try to do.
Shooters are made in the off season, man. I'm telling you.
They are, and here we have. I know you guys do a lot with the machine.
Dr. Dish. Yes.
You got Dr. Dish. We have one of the newer guns.
Okay.
Bench, you know, where with the computer and stuff, and the girls have really done a good job. And we usually get it out, you know, the machine before school or in the summer and stuff. So we get it out quite a bit, but we try not to. I don't want to say waste time, because shooting, you know, you have to shoot in order to. I mean, you got to be able to shoot in order to. No matter what offense you run. Yeah. But so everything we do, we try to divide it up into. You know, we'll start off by kind of getting loosened up, and then we go right into we do our transition stuff usually at the beginning. Just kind of.
And why is that? Why is that? That's.
I think it's just kind of get the blood flowing and stuff. I think it's. Okay. You know, I think the girls, they really like doing some of the transition drills, and even if it's just the basic, you know, 11-man breaks or 3-on-3 full court, just to kind of get them going. And
I
Just
think
for what
I've done that for 20 years. So the reason I asked is I wanted to see what your response was. I do it because they've had a long day. I've had a long day. They want to do that.
Yeah.
If I come and work on our pack line defense, they're going to look at me like I'm from Mars. They've had a long day too. So
100%. That gets them kind of interested in practice.
Yeah.
And then plus transition is important to us. I want to let them know that hey, we're doing this right at the beginning because it is important with our pillars and what we do. And then we usually go right into our defensive segment. And again, with our 1-2-2, it's different. We probably spend out of 2-hour practice, probably 45 minutes on it. But at the same time we're working on it, we're working on our press offense. We're working on our zone offense. So we're getting a couple things done during that segment. And then we'll go into some type of short-sided game, skill development type stuff, just finishing, different things there. And then we'll finish up with maybe some scrimmage or some situational type things towards the end.
Yeah. So you said earlier that you're not into like I call them quick hitters, but plays to score. Do you spend time on situational stuff?
We'll take and spend time like on, a team's down by so many points with so much time left, or an out of bounds players, simple, different things like that. And you'll see like with us, it comes down to, people in the stands probably wondering, why don't we run certain things? But, we're lucky here to have a few weapons on the floor where I just kind of let them play. At the end of we might call like a fist or like a high ball screen or something, just play out a bit, or 1-4 low or something. But end of a clock, we'll work the clock down to the last 8 or so seconds, and then we go with it and just kind of create. Because I know we're down around here, teams are going to prepare.
Right.
And if you're running the same stuff, they're going to have you scouted, and I'd rather throw them something where they don't really know what's coming type thing. But so yeah, we don't do set plays and stuff. We'll have a few in our back pocket, but I just like let them go.
Let them go. So you won't call a timeout tied with 30 seconds to go.
I wouldn't say I don't want to say I wouldn't. I could, but I think get the ball on the person. I don't want to. I guess I don't want to say I'm like a little bit like Roy Williams where he just lets them play, but I'd say I'm a little bit where I don't want to call the timeout and let them set up they might switch a defense or something.
I know. I'm like you. Let's get the ball in the right person's hand and let them make a play and kind of see what happens there. I like that too. That's just that's kind of my theory. It's like let the chips fall where they may. Yeah. Now, because they're going to try to counter what I'm doing. If they don't have a timeout and they don't have the ball, they can't counter. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can counter something. What would you tell your younger self?
I say that's a good question. Take and when I first started coaching, don't try be yourself a little bit. Don't try to take and be somebody that you're not, or try to coach. If you're I can be intense. I've probably mellowed over the years.
I think we've all mellowed. Yes.
I've been doing varsity for about 14, 15 years. I'm only 41, but I was a lot more intense probably back in 10 years ago than I am now. But I say just do what you do. Don't try to take you go to clinics and stuff, and I like going to clinics. I love going to clinics. I love networking. I like seeing what other coaches do. But a lot of times you see them run something, and it might not fit your team. I see a lot of coaches try to run something that doesn't fit their team. Know your personnel. Like I said, just be who you are type thing. And then also take in, like I say, network. Get to know other coaches. Listen to podcasts. Steve, I've taken in with I think this is great that I'm actually on, your podcast. I've been listening. You went for a year or so. I've been listening every time I go out and walk, every time I go out, and this is what I listen to. I listen
awesome.
to podcasts.
I appreciate that. I'm sometimes wondering if I'm sitting here like, is this going on? But I had some woman from Australia, or actually, I had one from the Antarctica, which was like, I told my son, come here, look at this. It's like, that's crazy. It's like, are you kidding me? I guess they play basketball in the Antarctica, but no, what I tell people about those clinics too, I love them from a standpoint of like, literally I'm going to use one of your cycle things. I'm just looking for a golden nugget. I'm not changing
terminology, something. Yes.
It's that little thing. It's like, ooh, I can use that. What I tell young coaches, and I truly believe this is, there's only one Coach K. There's only, one Roy Williams. Don't try to be something that you're not. Find something you're good. Find something you feel good about. I was talking to one of my assistant coaches. We were talking about some pressure stuff that we were thinking of doing. And I won't say it on the podcast because somebody might be listening. But I feel really comfortable with X because we were talking about possibly running Y. And he goes, well, Steve, we should run X. If you feel more comfortable with it, let's do that. They're very similar as far as the type of pressure. Do what you feel comfortable doing. And then if you want to try something, you better become, an expert at it. But it takes time for sure.
So definitely, be yourself. Don't try to imitate somebody else. But then also, it's kind of like education. We're always trying to make ourselves a better, teacher and educator. Same thing with coaching. When you first start off, and I told Kevin this when I did his podcast, I said, my advice would be, don't think you know everything. Take in.
I don't know anything. I feel like I know less as the years go on rather than more.
and with the clinics, you're talking about clinics. You guys do many like round tables up there, like where you have coaches just sit around?
No one trusts anybody. That's one of the reasons I started Teach Hoops. No one trusts anybody.
And that's crazy because we went over. There's in West Central or Western Illinois at Carrollton. Jeff Crumwitty does a great. There's probably about 40 or 50 coaches.
That's
they pay
awesome.
a fee. They pay a fee. They sit around in the back of a restaurant. Basically, the tabletops are whiteboards, and you basically they give you an expo marker, and you basically just sit there and X and O it. And they'll, like over here we're talking zone offense. Over there they're talking out of bounds plays. And I like when I was, earlier I'd go to those things because I'd use them as scouting reports. I'd take and basically show them my defense and kind of see how they would take and attack it, and then I could go back and kind of use that as.
That's a great idea.
But I love roundtables. I love roundtables. I love clinics.
Well, and John Carrier runs one up in Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. It's awesome too. He runs roundtables. No, I've tried it a couple times and no one. I might do one of those. I might do that online. I'm thinking that's an interesting because I do. Yeah, you could if you see look at all the books I have in the back. It's like I love.
That's what we need to do down in Georgia. On that Saturday night or something, get all the coaches together if they're sticking around and do some type of.
Yeah, we can do that. I'm flying in late Thursday because I told my wife she gets a day on Friday. But if people are in even on late, I know some of them are going golfing. I don't golf.
I don't either.
I used to. But if people are in on Friday too, even late Friday, we could get together. That would be awesome. I would love to do that.
Yeah, we're driving it. I tell you, we're driving forward.
I'm not driving. I'm too old.
That's a little bit farther for you guys.
Well, here's the funny thing. I took my son. I'm a big PGC guy. I should get a kickback from Mono. But anyway, it's a great clinic. Chad's an awesome guy. Tyler, they're awesome. Anyway, so I took my son to the grad school in Columbus, which is about, 500 miles from here to Columbus. No problem. Took one of my players. One of my players got a concussion 2 hours into it.
Oh, wow.
So I can tell you halfway between Madison and Columbus is West Lafayette because I met Mom the next day. So I literally drove like 1,500 miles in like a week. Because it's like, I'm not going to leave that poor kid. He's got a concussion. It's like,
yeah.
I told the mom, I said, we're not putting him on a plane either. So meet me halfway and I'll hand him off to you. But it was like, yeah. I love driving too. I drive out east every summer. In another month or so, I'll be driving out east. So let's dive in. Is there one coaching moment, either a success or a failure, that a coach that's listening to in the Antarctica could learn from? I've had many of them, but
one coaching moment
one coaching moment that we could dive into that would be helpful for the audience. It can be a positive. It can be a success. It can be a failure. It can be something that I call them aha moments.
Coaching, I think dealing with girls, it's basically getting them, it's kind of going back to the semifinal game, where we thought we were the better team and probably should have won, and knowing that you had a game the next day, how to kind of rally the troops a little bit and get them refocused in a short amount of time to take in, prepare and get ready and make it more of a positive type thing by the next day. And that might not be the answer you're kind of looking for. That's just kind of the one that's kind of coming to me real quick, especially
no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answer to it.
And maybe that's just because with girls and stuff, you kind of have to. They're a little bit different sometimes than guys and boys and stuff. So it's kind of like I said, trying to kind of get them refocused.
7 years of coaching girls volleyball. It's 7 years. It made me a better dad. It made me definitely a better dad. It made me a better teacher. I think it made me a better coach, actually. It was early in my career, too. Is there one fundamental drill that you'd like to share, or drill that you would like to share?
One thing I'm sure everybody does it. I'm sure most of these drills that people talk about, they've done somehow. Something we've done here the last, just a recent more than anything. We do a lot of cutthroat and stuff. I think you can
cutthroat. I love cutthroat. I love cutthroat. I love cutthroat.
And something we're going to do more of next year is do it more for a lot of people do it more for offense, I guess, to a point, somewhat. We're going to do it more with our 1-2-2, like our press part in the quarter court. Do it more towards the defense, geared to the defense. So
explain how you play cutthroat, so the listeners can do it, and then I'll explain how I play it.
What we've done in the past, offensively, we'll get the groups of 3 or 4, whatever it is, line them up. So you have the 2 playing out on the court. The other groups are lined up on the baseline, and then I started running a lot more when I worked a Snow Valley camp in Missouri, and they run that cutthroat's kind of like their main drill to end with at the end of the week. And they basically had 3 rules, and I believe they were: every time you caught, you had a square; every time somebody scored, you had to thank the teammate. So if you threw the ball, if you threw the ball to me, as the assistant, if I scored, I had to point to you or do something just to show appreciation. And then every time you made a pass, you had to cut. You had to do something. You had to make some type of basketball move, screen away, cut, whatever it is. So if you didn't do it, your team's off real quick, and the next group comes on, and then you have to be yelling your score. Now next year with our defense, I'm going to do it where instead of they're on the baseline, they're going to be at the half court line, and the defense gives up certain action. Maybe that day, anytime the ball gets a paint touch through a pass or through a dribble, the defense is off. Next, offense becomes defense. Next group comes on offense, and then we'll probably tally scores and stuff based on what the defense is doing, not what the offense. But I just think you can teach a lot of your, like say, your pillars, some of the things that you feel is important through those drills.
I'm sorry, I muted there because I was coughing. One big thing is what you emphasize is what they're going to do.
Yes. Yes.
And the way we play cutthroat is like we'll be working maybe on our offense or defense, but I'm lucky I have like 2 or 3 assistants. So I'll have one, we call him the wizard, and whatever the wizard says goes, and they complain to the wizard, he'll take points away, he'll add points, whatever. And all of a sudden the score will be 8-8, and then it'll be 10-8. And if they complain, he'll give them, it's great anyway.
Yeah.
But give this is one way we emphasize rebounding. Like if you get an offensive rebound, we'll play to 10 or something. Like an offensive rebound is 3 points. Coming off a screen and scoring is whatever we want to emphasize. Yes. A 3 is only 1 point. A 2 is 3 points. Something, whatever we're changing, and we'll have like 4 or 5 points of emphasis, and we'll just keep score that way. And it gets like, it gets brutal. Like that's why there's no out of bounds.
Yeah, same here.
We'll call fouls, and we'll let them foul to an extent. So we don't want fisticuffs, but we're gonna let them get physical. And I love it. It's a way especially for young coaches to build some intensity. If you feel like the lull is coming in practice, that we go to cutthroat. And it can get
And then another drill, if I have time here, we do something. This is more for our 1-2-2, our ball press, and that is, we call it the 10-4 drill. And the defense, now again, it starts 3-quarter court, and the defense is always on defense. So, and the ball starts in the same spot every time. It's got to go the full length of the floor. But the 10-4, the defense gets points for, they have to reach 10 points before the offense reaches 4. Now, the defense, every time you get like a deflection, it's a point. Every time you get a steal and a layup, it's worth 2. Anytime they turn the ball over, you get a point.
I love that. Okay,
and then the offense gets points for, we usually do it where if they hit a 3, it's worth 2. If they hit a 2-point field goal, it's worth 1. So the defense has got to get those 10 points before the offense gets their 4 points.
So so what you're doing right there is you're emphasizing pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
So once it comes, let's say we get a steal and a layup, then again the other team takes it out. We put the press on again. Let's say we get a defensive board. The play stops and they quickly take the ball back out the other way, and we go the other way. So the defense is always on defense. So it's really not, it's a scrimmage, but it's not a you're not transitioning from offense to defense.
Defense. You're only saying an offense. All right.
Yeah,
so do you have some of these written up that I can share with the audience?
Not
Okay.
not really.
The pause there says no. So what I'm gonna make, even if it's on a piece of paper and a picture, Coach, I'll put it up, and then I can link on the bottom in the show notes and then send it to people, because literally they're gonna ask me like for the.
If now, being from Wisconsin, being from up north, Quincy High, Quincy, Illinois.
Oh,
have you
yeah.
ever heard? Okay, with
Of course.
Lauren Wallace coached there in the '90s for about a 9-10 year span or something.
Yep.
People, they can go on. He's got a lot of information out because he was big into the 1-2-3. Now we run ours a little bit different than he did, but there is, if you Google Lauren Wallace ball press, you can find the 10-4 drill, like diagrams of it.
Okay. Well, okay, I'll see if I can find it. Well, what's it? Lawrence what?
Lauren Wallace.
Lauren
Wallace, and he, again, Quincy, Illinois, and just ball press. 1-2-2 ball press drill.
Yeah, but I might. Yeah, what was the other things we talked? Cutthroat. I can do cutthroat. That's not a problem. But then I want that. Do you have the cycle stuff? Maybe just type when I will make sure we have some of this stuff. So you can email me, people that are listening to this. But we'll make sure we get it to you, because they always ask. Trust me.
And that's one thing, especially with a few years ago, I did a video through Cisco's video, which you guys probably know up there because it started up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Blaine, Coach Blaine, is it Blainer?
Yep. He left. He went to I had a couple of those too. He went to, I want to say it was college, but that's not right. He took a college job.
He did.
Yep.
And one of my coaching buddies, Jim Donnelly, from here over Sedalia, mid-Missouri kind of area, Western Missouri. He bought it.
Okay.
So So I did a video here about 3 years ago, and I'm actually going to do another one here next week. Okay,
so we definitely want links to those. So you're going to send me an email with links on your current one and your other one for sure. I'll put those in the show notes too. Yep.
Definitely send you something there.
Okay.
That the 10-4 is, I believe that is on there.
Okay, perfect. If you, what do you think the biggest change in the game's been over the last 15 years, 20 years?
You can just see things kind of go in cycles. Like now it seems like everybody ball screens and stuff, compared to back in the, even back when I was playing, in the mid '90s, I don't remember a whole lot of ball screens even being set.
Right.
Now it's like everything's dribble drive, ball screens. Ever since Vance Wahlberg and Calipari and them started talking about that, 10 or so whatever years ago. I would say it's kind of changed. Defensively, seems like it's, to me, it kind of seems like it hasn't changed a whole lot, I guess. Offensively, it just seems like it's maybe changed a little bit just by what the actions and stuff that you take in that.
No, I think that personally, I think that's then the biggest change is definitely on the offensive end rather than the defensive end. All right, so let's do my rapid fire. So the way I do rapid fire is I'm going to ask you a question. If you've listened to this, you know what rapid fire is probably.
Yep, I've heard.
Okay. All right. So what's your favorite brand of basketball? Like type of basketball you use during the game?
Probably Wilson. Missouri changes all the time, but Wilson's been the one we've used the last few years. So I kind of like Wilson, I guess.
Okay. So is Wilson what they use at the state tournament?
Yes.
Okay.
MSHA, the state basically says that has to be a state sanctioned type basketball. I mean, that's what everybody has to pretty much use.
Oh, even during the regular season?
Pretty much. I think so.
Wow. Okay.
I think I've seen other teams use but like when it comes to districts, the state provides you with a ball. If you're like, we held districts last year,
right? We
got boys and girls basketball in the mail. And Wilson.
Yeah. So there's a few that don't use the state one. We use the state one just because that's the most important game. Yeah. What's one word to describe your ideal player?
It's probably tough.
Okay.
Especially on the girls' side, I love tough players.
If you go to Wilson,
mentally, physically. Go ahead.
Yeah, go mentally and physically. Is that what you said? I think I might have lost him. Are you there? Hello? All right, so I am going to talk until Coach comes back. Can you hear me? I think I lost him. All right, so here's what I'm going to do.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can. All right, I filled a little time there. Can you hear me now? This is live. I will not probably edit this out. I'm just telling you. It's either walk the dogs or edit this. So I probably won't edit it. I will leave this in. So I'm going to stop recording until he gets the sound figured out, and then we'll finish up with rapid fire. Good. All right, we'll start up again. All right, so we left off. Well, next one. You could go to one sporting event. What would it be and why?
I've always wanted to go to the Olympics. You know, I just think it's when you're representing the United States and stuff. I think that would be the most emotional type. I don't know. Olympics.
I like that. What's your pregame meal?
Honestly, I do not eat before. I'm one after probably lunch is my last meal I eat before a game. I think nerves and stuff. Not a good mix.
That's good. What's one skill that's not being taught?
One skill not being taught. Shoot.
Or undertaught?
Undertaught. Maybe things such as the typical catch and triple threat. Just some of your basic fundamentals that maybe were important that I learned when I was growing up, younger. It just seems like they don't do much with that anymore. I mean, it's just more catch and go type stuff. So I'm gonna go a little maybe triple threat.
Okay. Yeah, I would put screening and footwork. I don't think footwork's being really
footwork. Yeah, I can see that. Yes.
So one skill. I said that one. What do you do to relax?
Probably exercise, workout. I'll try to do that at least 30 minutes a day or so.
Ooh, that's good. Now, do you schedule that?
During school, it'll be basically during my conference period. If I don't have nothing really for school-wise, I will do some type of T25, something I can kind of get in quick, I guess.
Okay, something you can do and just get it in. Okay. What's one coaching technique you think is important?
I'm one who I think I take in give your players a little bit more of a voice, give them more of a say in things. Kind of use your players a little bit and get their opinion a little bit more. Some coaches just like to take in, it's whatever they say goes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's more of sometimes I'll reach out to the players and kind of let them give me their opinion on certain things.
Here's where my new pivot's happening, and it's going to be happening over the next couple of years at least. Is I'm going to work on peer coaching because I think, and I'm going to because we want them to self-correct each other during the game, but they don't know how to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the things I'm going to talk about at the clinic. I don't think it's done well. Box out. That's no one's gonna. If you're just screaming box out, that's not.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's how they communicate with each other is kind of they don't know how to do it, and part of it's this thing because they don't know how to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's something that needs to people need to consider. What's the best player you've seen in person?
In person, 20 years ago, we had a player in Missouri named Jerron Rush. You remember the Rush brothers from Kareem Rush played at Mizzou and Brandon Rush played at Kansas.
Yep.
Jerron was the oldest. Went to UCLA for a couple of years, but he played for Pembroke Hill out of Kansas City. And you just thought he was going to – he kind of has a unique history, I guess. He just didn't do much after college. But Jerron was probably the best. He was a pretty special player back in the mid-'90s.
Who do you think the best player of all time is?
Michael Jordan.
Who do you think the best player right now is?
Oh, wow.
Remember I live in Wisconsin.
The Greek freak, I guess.
I mean, don't you think he is? I mean, if I'm picking a team, I'm taking him.
He's special. I like I like Kawhi. I like the players who you see do it on both ends. They get at it on defense.
You can absolutely go with Kawhi. I don't. There's nothing. I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's not. I think there's a handful of them, but I think 5 years from now they're going to talk about the Greek. I mean, I'm just telling you, he is just.
I'm hoping Milwaukee can keep him. That's just something you know how it is. 20 or so years ago, everybody stayed with the same team. Now everybody's jumping.
But the Bucks got new owners when Cole. They will pay. They will pay.
Okay.
They will, and Wisconsin loves him. I mean, why?
Good.
I mean, unless you're going to go to L.A. I mean, unless you want temperature or lifestyle. I mean, there's no pressure. They'll
I know we're in rapid fire here, but I'm guessing you've talked to Wesley Matthews. Is he pretty excited to come back to Milwaukee?
I've communicated, but I haven't I'm super excited. I was just talking to my wife about it because I have a couple of his early jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm gonna have to go. I said, God, gonna have to get a Bucks one because it's what's yeah. I think it will be good. I think he's got one more big contract in him personally. If you go back and listen to the podcast, I predicted this about 5 months ago, and I had no inside knowledge. Yeah, I think he's the perfect. I mean, he can shoot, he can defend. He's a great locker room guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what they need. I'm telling you, he might be chasing a ring because I think they got a shot.
They do.
I mean, I think they got a legit shot. I think they're a top 5 team now that Kawhi went to Clippers.
Yeah.
If he'd have gone to LA, that'd have been a different story. But what's one thing you do to become a better coach?
I think just talking with other coaches. Listening to podcasts, talking with other coaches, networking a little bit. It goes back to me saying that not thinking you know everything.
Yeah.
That's
one of the selfish reasons I do this because I learn just a little bit on everybody. What's the best game you've seen in person?
Again, I'm going to go back 20 years because it's not like I get to, catch a lot of games around here, Mizzou every so often. But back in '95, I went to the Quincy, Illinois, the high school Thanksgiving tournament, and Quincy was playing. And again, if you don't know anything about Quincy, Illinois, the atmosphere there is crazy. But they were playing Cardinal Ritter out of St. Louis, who had like Chris Carrawell, former, he'd have been going to Duke the next year. Lauren Woods, who was 7'1", and just the atmosphere in that place that night, because I think Cardinal Ritter was nationally ranked, was pretty intense for somebody who was in high school at that time.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how there's just games that touch you. Like I remember being in tears because my high school had lost the game before the state tournament. I mean, I thought those guys were NBA guys, and I was like 12. It was just like, yeah. I remember coming back from Baraboo up by the Dells, and they'd lost, and I was heartbroken. It was like the NBA Finals. We had lost the NBA Finals. Your favorite quote? I think you had.
I like the one. Players don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and a lot of that's because I'm big on building relationships with the girls and stuff, and they know I'm always there for them. I try to communicate with them as much as I can. So that's probably the quote that sticks out more than.
Well, I've said this a billion times. If you want them to run through a wall for you, they have to know that you love them. I mean, yes, seriously. It's like that uncle that just ran into the building to save his niece. He got burned. Did you read about that in the paper?
Anyway. It sounds familiar, but I'm not.
Yeah. Anyway, house was burning down. Niece was in there. Uncle was outside, and he was in his 20s, and he heard her, and he ran into the burn. He got like 30-degree, but he saved. He's fine. I guess he's fine. And it's like, yeah, will they run? It's the Fox. It's the Fox. Whole test.
Yeah, and with girls, I'm one who I'm always asking them about things that has nothing to do with basketball, more about life, just or academics, what they do in class, or if something happened over the weekend or something, you just kind of. Sometimes they let you in. Sometimes it takes a while for them to let you in, but eventually.
And hopefully they didn't break up with their boyfriend.
Yeah.
I know. I lost a sectional game because my point guard broke up with his girlfriend, and then they got back together like a week later. I'm still not over that. Sharif, if you ever listen to this, I'm still not over it. Oh my gosh. Because they're teenagers.
They're kids. Yeah, they are.
They're kids.
They are.
But they don't decide whether the lights are on in my house. That's why I've never looked at the collegiate level. I don't want that. One word to describe your coaching style.
I'd say passionate.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Best coach of all time.
Best coach, you're talking maybe your Woodens or Popovich or Jackson, but I like Don Meyer, and I'm going with best coach because of the impact he had on a lot of coaches. With his video set he has out, or he came down here to Columbia to the MBCA clinic, and he just plopped a chair at half court and basically just told like philosophy stuff, and it was you could hear a pin drop in the place. I mean, it was just dry humor, funny. But you learned a lot in that hour or so just by listening to him.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I think I've moved 3 times. He used to hand out like little cards,
Yes,
and
he
all
did
stuff.
too. You did.
And you know what I'm talking about? And I still find those every once in a while. Like I'll be on my bookshelf and it's like, oh, there's a Don Meyer. I mean, he talk about a service first. There's a guy that just wanted to give back to the game. I'm telling you, there's no hidden agenda. He would have shared anything with you. Yes, underappreciated. And I mean, I don't know if he's in the hall, but he should definitely be in the hall.
He should be, yeah.
If he's not, he should be. One book you'd recommend?
You know, one I've kind of got into the last month or so is Alan Stein's The Raise Your Game. I think there's some good stuff in it.
Yeah, a lot of people have, that's on my book list, I think. You had the Valvano one down too, huh?
If you ever get on YouTube and type in cutting down the net, you've seen that on clips of him giving that speech and stuff, but it's just, there's a lot of good life lessons in that 45-minute YouTube clip. And Coach B, I mean, he's funny. It's humorous. You know, he kind of adds a lot of humor to being, Italian and everything, but there's a lot of good life lessons.
There are. This is how crazy I am. I'm starting a couple more podcasts. This is how crazy I am. Don't ask me. So I'm starting one for my kids. I have a junior in high school. I'm gonna have a senior in high school. I'm gonna have a freshman in high school. So I'm starting one life lessons, because I do this in my class every day. I give a life lesson and I talk to my classes, because I'm trying to build relationships before I teach them some math that they don't really care about. So I'm gonna start putting those on, because I think, that's, I want to give something back as far as life lessons. And then
find a clip, Coach, and use that Jimmy V clip, because I think that
I'll use that. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna try to find that. And then my other one is, this is the new one I'm asking all the coaches is, do you have a side gig other than coaching?
No.
Okay.
It's pretty much teaching and coaching, and being a father of 3.
Yeah, because what I have found is more people have side hustles in teaching now than they used to.
Yes, I mean, I know a lot of teachers around Boonville that have that second job or something, or do something else,
And it wasn't like that. It didn't used to be like that. So every teacher, anybody that's listening to this thinks teachers are laying around all summer. It's not true. There's my public service announcement. All right. Any parting knowledge, Coach?
I think it goes back to, I kind of said this on with Kevin's podcast here a few weeks ago, and that is continue to develop relationships with other coaches, be a mentor. I think in that Raise Your Game book, they talk about the plus, the equal, and the minus, how coaches take in. The plus is you always want to find that coach that's maybe ahead of you. It'd be like you being a mentor to a lot of coaches, they have more of the experience, more knowledge that you can basically talk to and ask questions. Find that person that's equal to you, where you can basically share some ideas, and then find that one who's more of the minus, who's below you, that you can take and mentor and share ideas with them. So again, the plus, the equal, and the minus. I just think that was great. Alan Stein's book.
Love that. I love that. And now, so what I'm going to tell anybody, because I'm going to put this one's going to go to the front of the queue, because I literally, if you know anything about podcasts, I batch these babies, because my goal is when November 17th rolls around, or whatever, 18th, I think it's 18th, when we start, I'll have the entire basketball season podcast done, so I can.
Wow.
So I this is when I batch, but this one's going to go to the front because I want everybody to come to Kevin's clinic. So I believe both of us are going to be down there. And I think it's September. Is it 14th?
14th, I believe, on Saturday. Yes.
Yeah, it's whatever that Saturday is. It's either the 13th or 14th.
14th.
So I'm going to tell you, if you come down to the clinic, you can grab me. We can sit and talk. We can have lunch. We can X and O. It's definitely worth it. It's a beautiful part of the country. It's outside of Atlanta. If you're anywhere within driving distance, you should come. Kevin puts on a great one. Shoot, if nothing else, come listen to Gene. He's like the godfather of Georgia basketball.
That's what I've heard.
Oh my God, he's awesome. I mean, I could try to get him on again, but he's unbelievable. I mean, last year I think he went through his his morning workout. It was awesome. Kevin doesn't gig people that aren't going to keep you enthralled. I think there's 5 or 6 of us that are coming down.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell Kevin that we should get a classroom, and I'll stay after if people want to get and we want to get on a whiteboard and people have questions. I'm more than willing to do that. I told them, you know, either the coaches can do it or any of the coaches are there if they have questions. For sure. I mean,
that might be good. That might be a good time to invite some of those other coaches that are coming. Yeah, I would love to do that. I love doing that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna Kevin, if you're listening to this, I'm gonna email you. But all right. Well, have a great Friday, Coach. I appreciate you. It's like, oh, you can tell you and I are crazy. It's a Friday night when we're taping this and we're doing a podcast.
Early.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on.
Yep. No problem.
Hey, Coach, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're looking for more just like it, check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. 14-day free trial, a mentor in me. Let me help you become a better coach.